I got into acupuncture for a lot of reasons, actually. A little bit about me. I actually started out as a businessman. I have a degree in business from a little private school in Salt Lake City, Utah called Westminster. I studied finance, actually. And I went into insurance, and I really didn't like doing insurance. I was doing life and health. And it just didn't fit with me. I just didn't like it. So I went into massage, and I really liked helping people. I was good at it. I was good at interacting with people. My touch was gentle but firm and strong. And as I worked on a person, especially over a long period of time, they just got better. So I decided, let's do this deeper, let's do this better. That way I can really help a person out. So I went into acupuncture. Why didn't I want to become an MD? We got plenty of MDs, but we don't have a lot of good acupuncturists. I wanted to do that. I understood the basics of Chinese medicine. I understood the basics of how to work with a person in that frame. So I wanted to expand on it. How do I feel about Western medicine? It's a little complicated, isn't it? A lot of people would say that Western medicine, these guys are my enemy. That everything that I believe is bad and wrong, and everything that they believe is bad and wrong. That the only thing that they want to do is make money by pushing cures on people that don't work. That is not what I believe. Western medicine has actually saved my life, and it saved the life of my father, and my mother, and my friends, and has brought everybody that is in my life into this world. So how can I get mad at them for that? Western medicine has its place. If you get into a car accident, if you get shot, you get stabbed, if you have a horrible disease and you need medication or you're going to die, if you have cancer and you need that thing cut out or you're going to die, please don't come see me. Please don't think of your acupuncturist first. Please go to the hospital. Please go to the emergency room. Let them take care of you, because that is where Western medicine is really, really good. That is where Western medicine does save lives. Use me for your everyday issues. Use me for the aches and pains in your body. You use me for, I can't sleep at night and, well, the sleep aids aren't working anymore. Well, maybe just don't take the sleep aids and use me. And if they are a prescription, you might want to talk to your MD about it, because if they're not working, maybe you shouldn't be on them. Just my interpretation of the data. I work with MDs. I refer to MDs. I take referrals from MDs. I would actually relish doing pre-op and post-op in a hospital. They actually do that in China, by the way. Acupuncture is completely ingrained into the medical culture in China. Now, it doesn't say that every Chinese doctor believes that acupuncture and herbal medicine works or that it's even valid, but it is there and it is an option. Here in the United States, it's a little bit different, but things are changing. Currently, roughly 6% of the United States population likes and uses acupuncture. And that is doubled from only 10 years ago. So imagine where it's going to be soon. I look forward to working with any and all medical doctors in the world. Vigorelli. Does acupuncture hurt? Well, sometimes. I can't say yes, I can't say no. Because I've had needles go in me that, yeah, they hurt. There's a few points on the body that are going to hurt regardless of who puts it in, what kind of needle, what size of needle, no matter what. It's going to sting. There are other points on the body that you won't even know I'm there. That I put the needle in and job's done. The size of the needle does mean something. The thinner the needle, typically the less it's going to hurt. Whereas the thicker the needle, typically the more it could hurt. But technique also means something too, as does the quality of the needle. The thickest needle that I use is what is referred to as a 30 gauge. That is mid-thick. The thickest you can get on the open market here in the United States, I believe, is a 26 gauge acupuncture needle. Those are what we would call a honker. I don't like to use those. In China, that's pretty much the workhorse. But in my practice, the gauge of needle that I use is actually a 38. That's my most commonly used needle. Because a lot of what I work with has to do with an innate deficiency in the person. The reason why I'm using a thin needle for a person that's deficient is because the thicker the needle, the more draining it is on the body, because I'm making a bigger hole. And if I'm going to make 20 holes in you, even if they are tiny, I'm still making 20 holes. So I want to minimize that damage as much as possible while still giving my patient the help that they need. So on somebody who's really, really weak, kind of sick, I will go usually as low as a 40 or a 42 gauge. 44s, which are the thinnest you can get, at least here in the United States, probably the world, is not going to be effective. They're very difficult to get into the body. The body tends to resist very effectively. Now, to give you an idea of how thin my needles actually are as an acupuncturist, I don't know if you get flu shots at all, but the needle that they use on a flu shot is a 16 or an 18. That's pretty thick. I can fit probably 20 of my needles into that syringe needle, otherwise known as a hypodermic needle. Okay? So, does acupuncture hurt? It can. But most of the time, the way I do it, you're not going to feel anything. The most that you're probably going to feel is a little prick on your skin as the needle breaks the surface, and then as it goes in, you usually don't feel anything. You might get a slight sensation that will usually dissipate in about 1 minute. So honestly, it's really nothing to worry about. Do I get treated? Absolutely I get treated. I have friends that I go see, like if I catch a cold and I decide that I don't want to take Dimetap or something else, that I want them to put some needles in me or write me an herbal prescription or do this thing called gua sha, which is a scraping technique. It's fantastic, especially on sore muscles. I go see them. I say, hey, I got this problem. Can you give me a hand? Sure, we'd love to. You gonna work on me too? Sure. And then we do a trade. And we help each other out. I traded a couple of weeks ago with a friend. I got a little bit of a sniffle because I was outside in the rain. I got a little caught and happened. So I called him up and I said, hey, I'm coming down with a cold. Are you busy? He said, not tonight. Why don't you come over? I said, great. So I went over and he put about half a dozen needles in me. And cold was gone about 14 hours later. That's a pretty quick turnaround. With him as the trade, he was having some stress with his girlfriend, so I put some needles in him and relieved that stress. their fight resolved. Everyone was happy, so not that big of a deal. Are herbs safe, you ask? Okay. For the most part, yes, they are safe. However, just because you have a condition that herb treats does not mean that you should run out and get that herb. Yes, I know there are some doctors that really like herbs, and they talk about them on the TV. They talk about them on the radio and in print media and all of this stuff, and even on things like YouTube. They say, yes, this herb is fantastic for sexual potency. This herb is the go-to herb for when you're tired. This herb is the go-to herb for when you can't sleep. While, yes, that is technically true, there's a couple of problems with that reasoning. For one thing, it fails to take in the side effects of the herb. Something as common as ginseng, otherwise known as renshen, which is Chinese ginseng. There's also Korean ginseng, which is red. There's American ginseng, which is called Shiyang Shen. I'll get to that one in half a minute. They have side effects to them. Chinese ginseng, if you take too much of it, you can give yourself massive coronary problems. If you're prone to heart attacks, if you're prone to strokes, you can induce them. If you have high blood pressure, you should under no circumstances be taking any ginseng whatsoever, unless prescribed by somebody like me that knows what they're doing. Because herbs can be dangerous. If, however, you take the herb as prescribed by somebody like myself, and it's taken in a way where it's at a dosage and it's mitigated by a bunch of other herbs that may have similar or differing functions to that given herb, you won't get sick from the formula. In Chinese medicine, 99% of the time, we don't give single herbs. That's a Western herbal thing. And I would never advise somebody to just take an herb because, oh, it's a good idea. No. I am going to look at the person. I am going to make sure that there are no side effects that could result from not only a single herb, but the formula as well. For example, let's say you are coming to me and you have a digestive problem. And it comes up in your chart that you have celiac, or you're just gluten intolerant, and every single time you eat any kind of grain outside of rice, your digestive system grinds to a halt. Well, one of the digestive formulas that I would conceivably prescribe for you has wheat in it. It's part of the herb. I can't give you that because I will violate the very first part of medicine, which is do no harm. I'll make you sick. I can't do that. So I have to find another way of getting around that block. And the good news is, there's plenty of herbs that I can pull from that will approximate the same effect. Now there are some herbs like ephedra that currently cannot be traded here in the United States. You can't really approximate what it does. You can if you're really smart and crafty and all of this, and you hit it just perfectly that one time, but there's no set rule. The reason why I mention ephedra is because of what we did with that herb in this country. We used it for weight loss, and that is not what the herb is for. The herb is actually for bronchitis. It's very good at dilating the bronchioles and helping a person to breathe. It makes you sweat a lot. It destroys your appetite, and it makes you really, really thirsty. Well, a bunch of people got a hold of that and they said, wow, it gets rid of your appetite. That's brilliant. We can use this for weight loss. Well, it speeds up heart rate and it makes you sweat a lot. That's like losing weight, isn't it? No, it isn't. That's bad. That's the side effect of the herb. And I would put other herbs into the formula to mitigate that effect so that you don't get sicker. Not sick, sicker. One of the things that's contraindicated when you take ephedra is if you're already sweating. If you already have water leaking out of your skin, don't take that herb. It has the possibility to kill you. That's not to say the herb is bad, you just have to know how to use it. So the only time I would ever prescribe ephedra is for a person with a lower respiratory tract infection that is manifesting in such a way that they are not sweating. They don't like the cold, but they're also running a fever, and they've got a slightly sore throat. Well, really all they need to do to get over that infection is they need to have a good hard sweat. So what I would do is I would make the formula that has ephedra in it. It is actually called Ma Huang Tong, and I would give it to the patient, and I would remind them to drink plenty of water and to eat as much of a meal as they can handle, and to under no circumstances do any form of physical exertion, meaning they can't exercise, they cannot have sex, they need to stay in bed and freaking rest. Okay? That's what you do when you're sick. You rest. You don't go to work. You don't have fun with your honey, and you don't play around a ball with the guys or gals for that matter. You stay home in bed and you get better. That's the point. So again, yes, herbs are safe, assuming they are used correctly. Smelled funny is a thing called moxa. This is made out of a very common herb called mugwort. It actually grows in canyons that are cut by flowing rivers, like Topanga Canyon. There's a few canyons back, there's a few forests back east that have it. It's very common. It's so common it's a cliche almost, mugwort is. And you take the herb, and there's a whole process of how to refine it to turn it into moxa. But no, it is not marijuana. You won't get high off of moxa. It might burn your eyes a little bit because of the smoke, and yes, there is a smell to it. But I can assure you, there is no euphoric effect. There is absolutely no thing that's going to come back on drugs that is going to say, you're using something. Sorry, that's not going to happen. There's nothing in it that they're going to pick up. It doesn't even have that effect. The reason why we use it is this. Moxa burns at a specific frequency that the human body really, really likes. Yeah, you could conceivably use tobacco. You could conceivably use banana peels or oregano or parsley or anything else that burns. But the temperature that the mugwort moxa burns at is just perfect for the human body. And yeah, I do use it on occasion. I don't use it for everything. I will only use it for a person that has an orthopedic problem that is being exacerbated by cold, I will only use it for a person that has been stuck out in the rain and is cold. I will only use it on a person that has cold. I won't use it on somebody that's hot at all, because that's me. You don't add fire to fire if you want to put out the fire, right? That's ridiculous. So if you were to get work done by an acupuncturist like myself, and he pulls out this stick, lights it on fire, and starts waving it over you and touching it on the needle, or he takes out a big clump of this stuff and mashes it together and then sticks it on the needle and squeezes it hard and then lights that on fire, or he takes out a box and puts a bunch of this fluffy stuff in it, puts it on your belly and lights it on fire, you don't need to worry, he knows what he's doing. Okay? All you need to do as the patient is let him know if that's too hot. You'll know it's too hot because you will want to get away from it. All you gotta do is say hot, please stop, or just hot, and he'll move it. We spend about 6 months working with moxa alone during our training so that we minimize the possibility of burning and hurting the patient. Now, that's not to say that it's not possible. You're using fire. You're near skin. You could get burned. But we don't like burning people, at least here in the United States. You go to China, yeah, there's a possibility they're going to take the moxa stick and put it on your body. That's called scarring moxa. It's effective, but I don't like causing what amounts to a cigarette burn on my patient. Okay, so you don't need to worry about that. I promise you the moxa is safe. If you have allergy to the smell of it, please let me know, and I won't make that part of your treatment. I'll find another way. Okay? The red mark on my face. Okay. I'll angle into the camera here a little bit. Yeah, see this? Yeah. It's nothing you need to worry about. It's actually what's called a wine mark. They're very common. Some people have them in other parts of their body. I just happen to have one on my left cheek. It's a birthmark. I wasn't in a fight. I was born with it. You don't need to worry. Hobbies. Hobbies. Yeah, I have hobbies. I write for fun, also for profit, assuming. I actually have a book out. It's called Spaghetti with a Sawed-Off Shotgun. It's about my life. It's semi-autobiographical. It's basically a collection of true stories that happen to me and friends and people that I know, and my reactions therein. A couple of them are lessons. For example, if you decide to move out somewhere to go to school, go to school. Don't screw around. Go to school. Okay, that's a story in the book. Feel free to check it out. You can get it on Amazon. I also screenwriter. I do have an option screenplay, but it's basically on a shelf. I don't know if it'll ever get produced. But, you know, I work on others when I'm not treating patients. Working on a few right now. Got a few books that I'm working on as well. One of them is about herbs. Another is a compilation of ideas based around an elemental theory that I've been working on for about half my life. That'll be out in a few years. And I also hike, I do yoga, I box. Yeah, I box. Yeah, I bet you didn't see that coming, huh? I'm also trained in 2 martial arts. I'm trained in Aikido and Jiu-Jitsu. And I dated a girl for a little while that did Krav Maga. That was kind of fun. Going to Krav Maga classes with her. That was pretty intense. I have absolutely no problems with going out, having fun, roughhousing with my friends. I enjoy that.
Richard Vigorelli is an
Well, that question is a little stereotypical, isn't it? And you think, me being into alternative health, that I'm not gonna eat meat and I'm gonna have a completely raw food vegan diet. That is not the case. I'm actually getting together with some friends of mine tonight, and we're gonna go have a nice steak barbecue. Actually, I'm an avid meat eater. I eat, I eat chicken, I eat turkey, I eat beef. I cook my food. In fact, I advise most of my patients to cook their food. If they're vegetarian, I will tell them on occasion have a little piece of meat, like this big, low, like that's it, just a medicinal dose. That's if the person is working through a massive, what I would call a blood deficiency, and they just aren't getting the resources that they need to build up their body, and they just keep getting sick. I'll tell them, go to the grocery store, go to the butcher block, tell them you want nothing more than a very small handful of like stew meat or ground hamburger. I will even show you how to cook it. And you can take that, you can cook it really well, and you only really need one bite. That's plenty. You're not killing anything. It's already dead. It's, it's not something you really need to worry about. Okay? If you have moral objections about eating meat, if it is considered part of your religion, that's okay. When your crisis of health has passed, I'll advise you, feel free to eat whatever it is you want or whatever it is you don't want. But please trust me when I tell you, you should modify your diet just this one little bit for this one itty bitty space of time. And that is all. So, are there any further questions? Excellent. Okay. Thank you. And I hope all of you guys have learned something today. My name is Richard Vigorelli, LAC. I am an acupuncturist here in Los Angeles, California.